Welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast, where we are regarded to as the Starting Five. We are powered by the Binge Podcast Network, and we are sponsored by Overtime Heroics Memphis. Let's be real about equality over revenge.
Sure. Good time for this good topic.
Shout out to young Tevin Durant over there.
Oh, yes, sir. The king himself. Gang.
Can we go back to two? Like, what?
Nah, man. It's just sometimes you just got to recognize greatness when you can. It is what it is, bro.
I was waiting for the crickets. The crickets almost got there. The crickets almost got there.
Nah, man, y'all funny, man.
All right, y'all two, you leave this first off before we get to the topics. Y'all see the topic list, so we'll just start off with the real talk segment too.
Yes, sir. So appreciate you, Shark. Let me start this off. I was able to go to the rally like Friday, and just pretty much just my whole experience was just one of the most beautiful things, I've been able to experience in my 27 years of living. Like, the whole city of Memphis really set the example to not just like other Americans, in the U.S., but just around the world, just showing how we were able to peacefully protest. You know what I'm saying? When people hear Memphis, they hear first 48. You know what I'm saying? Killing people. Just doing whatever we can. But when you're able to get that amount of people, different races, different colors, different genders, is one of the most beautiful things. But I gotta say, this one was different than the one that I attended a few years ago when we shut the bridge down for a few hours. It was brief, but it's always about the money. But this one felt different because it was a lot of white people out there that was able to share their frustrations, and you can see it and you can feel it, and it was a time for them to talk, and you can hear it in their voices. And it's about damn time, honestly, because we've been through this for so long. It's ridiculous. It's about time that they started to notice it. And now, like I said, you can feel the frustration, and I was able to feel that on Friday. As far as like the looting things go, like I'm not for it and I'm not against it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about hitting them at their pocket so they can understand where we're coming from and our voices. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying, we can't do it in our own communities. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that I have with everything that's going on right now. Like the reason I thought of equality over revenge, because it can be 100 times worse. You know what I'm saying? People are out just thinking about, they looting. First of all, it's not just us black people that's looting too. You can find numerous videos about, different races looting. But the thing is, like I said, is people, money getting hit, but we can't be doing it in our own community. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to just let our voices be heard and continue to peacefully do this properly. You know what I'm saying? Our end is like, I tweeted this earlier. It said, it feels like the whole world is going to the doctor right now. And I put the hashtag 2020 vision. Like, all the stuff is supposed to happen. And we just got to do our part and keep spreading awareness, because it's about time. It's 2020 and we still worried about getting killed by the people that's supposed to protect us. Like, it's whack. So yeah. I know I said a lot. I appreciate it, but it's just something that I'm real passionate about. You know what I'm saying? So, the floor is definitely y'all. The floor is y'all's. For sure.
Yeah, personally, I can speak for all of us that I'm tired. I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's just like, okay, here we go again. And I like to say I love everything the city of Memphis has done. Like I said, we get a bad rep nationally. And now we're one of the only cities that's peacefully protesting. Minneapolis, I can understand them, burning down Target, all that. It happened there. But Atlanta and like Dallas and seeing some of the videos I've seen, it's like, okay, y'all got to do better. Like, like I said, burning down, it was a black business owner, got his whole business burnt down. He used his life savings to start the business, and now it's burnt down. Now, some of it's not all of us. They're sneaking some racist white people in here that's doing it themselves. That's disguising themselves. So I just, like I said, it's tiring, but this is a tough time once again. But we do need to make sure we continuously keep this topic going, continuously talking about it. Think back to Colin Kaepernick. Think about it. He took a knee. What happened with this police officer? He had a knee on him. Like, it's like, wow. Like, if it's not one way, it's another. Like, racist shooting now is a knee and putting a knee on a person. I saw a video, I don't know if it was Atlanta or not, but they let the dog loose on the guy. Yeah, that right broke my heart because, like, dude, why the dog was sitting here biting his leg? The officer had a taser and dude FaceTime and not turn over. Like, come on. But yeah, like it's tiring, but like I said, I'm proud of the city for stepping up the way they have. I did hear like things got a little out of hand last night, which is why we now have a curfew. But we protested 4 or 5 days in a row?
There's a protest going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
and with the fact that they established a 10 o'clock curfew lets me know that it can get a lot worse. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Respect our stance on one inequality, but don't get to a point where it's like, all right, we finna get revenge because we shouldn't be on no curfew.
Yeah.
No, I'd say that to the mayor in his face. A curfew? Okay, cool. But what y'all think now?
The country where it's supposed to be a democracy too. Let's put the democracy part in quotes.
I find it funny that they can instill the curfew and really enforce it as strongly as they are now, but couldn't do it when coronavirus was in full force.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
Good luck, man, Strickland. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and to pick it back on, I think Took and Sharky, y'all have kind of hit the nail on the head. And I think one part that I want to take away from Sharky is I want us to continue to have this conversation. I think what happens is when these incidents, what happened to George Floyd happens, then there's a protest for like 4 or 5 days or for maybe a week, and then after that, then nothing gets talked about again, right? So then you have all these people, whether it be white, black, Mexican, or whatever, everybody wants everybody to be protected and things like that. But again, it doesn't get talked about 6 months after the fact, and then all of again it happens again. So my thing is, I just really want, if I can be 100 about it, I just would like white people to be as vocal as they are now. And I want them to be that vocal. I want them to be just as loud as they are in 6 months. I think that's the problem that I have. I think everybody wants black people to be protected and all that type of stuff, which is fine. But again, keep that same energy 3 months down the road. That's all that I'm saying. At this point, I've grown completely annoyed, frustrated. I've cried over the past couple of days because at the end of the day, that could just be any one of us, right? So I mean, that could be Ashley, that could be Savage, that could be any one of us. And I think that's the scary part. I've been a victim of being pulled over while black, and I've been scared when I've been pulled over before. I think I was in a car with Trevor one time where that actually happened in Carterville. It's probably one of the most scariest nights of my life. So I just really want us to get to a point where we as black people, again, it's not just black males that this happening to, it's black women as well too. I just want us to get to a point where when we get pulled over, or not even just get pulled over, when we're in the face of a police officer, we aren't scared for our life. When you're supposed to see a police officer, you're supposed to at some point feel safe. And as in 2020, we are now like scared of police officers. That's a very bad thing. And I really wish at some point down the road, because now I have a daughter on the way, at some point I have to have this conversation with her. I just really hope at some point we can this can just go away. At the end of the day, I mean, I said the same thing about COVID-19. I hope at just some point it just goes away, and it seems like it's going away. I just kind of hope that same thing happens with it.
Yeah, these issues are. So for one, my immediate emotional reaction was kind of like Sharky said. I'm tired. Like, I'm so tired of this happening. You know, seeing all the hashtags of, different brothers and sisters getting killed, getting, cops called on them, X, Y, and Z, this, that, and third. My second reaction was paranoia, just because, like Skylar said, it can happen to any one of us at any time. I'm sure we've all had a moment where we have, experienced racism. I've been called an N-word, when I worked with the Grizzlies. I've seen a woman clutch her purse in the elevator with me. Like, these are systemic issues that stem back from slavery, to be honest. And when people say, racism is not an issue, it's like this been going on for literally generations, hundreds of years, and it's not going away anytime soon, so long as racism is being taught in these homes. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he told me straight up, he said, do not trust white people. Now, to this day, I go to church with white people. I'm friends with white people. I work with white people. My experience is different from his. I can't speak from his experience. He's experienced racism in the heart of like the civil rights movement. He's seen it. That's his reality. All that to say, to all the protesters, black, white, and all the different colors on the spectrum, like that's a huge shout out, for being out there, with us as the black community. But don't let this just be an Instagram post. Don't let it be just a Facebook picture. Don't let it just be, a novel, caption. Like, let this continue on. Let it be a lifestyle that you want to help Black people, get out of this situation and change the world in terms of like making the world less racist. That's all I gotta say before I go into a whole spiel. But I know that Desi Banks, the comedian on social media, he got in trouble for saying, voting. I see where the backlash came from in the heat of the moment in terms of the emotion. But he does have a point that there needs to be a change at the top, whether that's the presidency, local government, state government. Like, there has to be a unified, body of people that want to see change in the world, So definitely get out and vote, but also it starts at home too. So when you're raising your kids, tell your kids like, hey, it doesn't matter what somebody looks like, I'm about to start preaching, but they are made in the image of God, whether they're black, white, whatever, So yeah, just start it at home, and then hopefully it branches out into the world, and then we can just grow, not just as a country, but as a world, to be honest.
Me, I'll keep it brief, because basically y'all sentiments are the same thing that I pretty much had, but just wanted for us to continue to have this conversation down the line, because I've even noticed now that after a few days of what went down, everything is kind of starting to shift more towards there being an issue on looting than the actual thing is about police brutality and George Floyd's death. So I commend the city for what they were able to do too. I commend you for being in attendance. Don't want to,
appreciate it.
but I just want our fellow brothers and sisters to stay woke on these riots and these protests, because this is a major setup by the guy that occupies the high seat in the White House for him to look for a re-election in 6 months or whatever. So just in the end, just continue to have this conversation. As Savage said, what got Desi Banks in trouble, which eventually is what we're needing to do in 6 months. But right now, we just need to keep this thing going. Just continue to have that conversation, and let's just keep this on police brutality as a whole and George Floyd, and not just the process of looting and the riots. So that's all I got to say.
I don't know who was next. I'm gonna see.
Hop in, man.
But no, like I said, it's times is crazy. Honestly, we're the only race that has rules when we get pulled up from the police. If you think about it, we can't reach for anything, hands shown the whole time. You pretty much got to pull out your phone or something to record just in case things go awry. For what I do and what I drive, I've been profiled multiple times. I've been asked, have I had X, Y, and Z drugs in the car? Stuff that I've never heard of, and it's just because of literally my skin, really. And it's crazy that people still think like this. And to go back on what Savage Granddad said, never trust white people. It's crazy because one of my first best friends was white, and it's literally just because it depends on what the household is teaching the kids or what the educators are really teaching the kids, because it's like, really, are you teaching the kids that's hanging with the black kids that is wrong? And a lot of racism stems from that. It's literally like, I had one of my white friends actually explain to me, he stays upper Nashville, and he said, he was hanging out with a black kid going over to his house, and his mom had, I guess, another neighbor mom come to her and say, you don't have a problem with him going over, the black people's house? And his mom actually went off on her, just because my friend, my son chooses his friends, and I trust who's around, and I don't allow racism. But it's just crazy because parents are teaching those kids that it's wrong to hang around us, or why are you hanging around those black kids? So it's just like, it stems from home, it stems onto those kids, and they're being taught like they're doing something wrong by hanging with us. And I read a sad story that somebody posted on Facebook saying 10 years ago at Carterville, they used to have lunch. And basically at lunch, when it was time to hand down the trays, they'll say, pass it down to Browntown, because the black kids would sit together at the end of the table and near the dumpster or whatever. So they were saying, pass it down to Browntown. So it's just like, you mean to tell me in 2010, while we were still in high school, that this was still going on? And it so happened to be one of their football players. And, when you play a sport, I hate to say it because most of us in here played a sport, you get special treatment. And so with it being a football player at that time, he didn't get nothing but a slap on the wrist, like, hey, stop doing that type of stuff. So in a way, you're encouraging these kids that, they can get away with it. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to do anything to you. And you're enabling those kids, and it doesn't fix the problem. And hopefully, sometime soon we get something on a hiring change. Something changes hiring as far as our I'm not even gonna say our congregation, but just our bodies in general, when it comes to these type of topics, because I feel like just because we're protesting, and I'm fine with it, I don't have no problem with it, but it's just like, it takes a considerable amount of change from places that we can't get to, that some of us normal people can't change. For the ones that's running for office and stuff like that, the power comes from them, and we have to support those people that's trying to make a change. But I'm tired as everybody else, and that's really all I got to say about it.
Yeah, the elder statesman with the son, which I look at differently than everyone on this podcast. And there's no disrespect to you all, but you guys just don't have a son yet. I've been pulled over 23 times. I have 4 tickets to show for that. 2 speeding tickets. 1 was open bottle, which was still a racist thing for them to do. And 1 I got turned back around. 23 times. I've never stopped counting. Most recently was 2 years ago. And I actually didn't know whether or not I was going to come home. And I was literally right up the street from my house. And to your point, I had to tell them, hey, I'm going to my glove compartment. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm going to turn my car off. Things that I have to do because I am a black man. Not I'm Mr. Riley working at Freedom Prep High School. Not that guy that gives of his vote or pays his rent on time. All of that. No, I am a nigga in the car. Flat out. That's what we are perceived as. And one of the best videos I saw that I relate to the most so far was that guy. He's like 32. He had the opinion from a guy that was like 47. Was another generation, I would say. And then another kid who was about 15, 16. And that man himself had a son himself. So I can relate to him the best because all of these riots, all this protesting, I'm not saying, excuse my language, ain't doing shit. It's not. Rodney King was beat 92. We forget about George Zimmerman and all these killings that have been done to us. But we are so easy to forgive. We're easy to forgive because we're taught this Christianity to forgive. And I don't want to go too deep into all that, right? But it's different. I'm going home to 3 now, by the way. I don't care what's going on outside, what's happening. I don't care if a cop pulls me over. I don't care if Donald wants to talk to me. I need to go home to my 3 at the end of the day. And think about Donald himself, the day after, you know, because Donald loves Twitter, just like everybody else who's like 12, loves Twitter. And he neglected to say anything about the looting and things that were going on immediately. His first concern was what Obama did 4 years ago. It had nothing to do with the current state that we're in. So with Desi, I agree about voting, but it ain't just your president you got to worry about. You got to worry about what's going on at the city level and the state level, because honestly, the city and the state are the ones that protect you over the federal. They're going to come to you first. And so I have that problem. Another problem I have a little bit is like, you know, you're not out there. And I'm not out there like, I love you for that. I appreciate you. I'm with you when you go out there. But I also can't take the chance when I go out there because something may go wrong and I got to come home to 3. You got to understand that. And now having to raise a son who I can't let him run in the streets. We got to have a closed environment to where we're at. I literally once a month take him to go meet a police officer or a firefighter because I need him to understand that they are for us. I need him to understand that because others will not say that. So his job as a firefighter, his job as a cop is to protect and serve. Now, if he's not doing his job, son, he needs to be fired. But coming home and hugging him, I remember that 2 years ago, meant so much to me because I can't remember who, but it was 3 weeks before I got pulled over last time that someone had got gunned down in broad daylight. And I wasn't going to be the one on that day. You try to teach your son, you try to teach your kids to kind of like bat the other eye or turn the other cheek. But they did that, Martin did that for us. And I love Martin Luther King. They got him shot and killed. So what's to change us from doing what Malcolm did want us to do, which is become our own separate state, our own separate entity. Our Black businesses can flourish with us giving back to them if we give them the space and opportunity to really be a divided state, not a united state. And so with all that, vote, be safe, but also it's not even just about the kids that you have. I have 400 plus kids that rely on me every day. I'm an educator. And yeah, I might not post and boast all that time on social media, whatever, because I actually give words. I'm actually present with them and telling them what to do and how to handle these situations. And so my students are more invested into like what to do as opposed to what is happening. I charge us to go back and not just get back to the community, but get back to those boys and girls in the middle teenagers years right now. Because those are the ones that will start something that will be totally transcendent beyond what we're thinking right now. Pour back into the community that we have left out. Then we can start seeing some type of change. But we get so segregated at times, and I got my degree, I'm gone. Yeah, I'm me, that's me, I'm gone. But I don't mean I'm not still tied back to my community back home. If somebody needs something, they know to call me. This, that, and the third. So we have to step back into the community. We have no choice but to step back into the community because all of us, all 7 of us right here, are the most scarce resource in America as an educated Black man. Sit on that and think about that and think about this systematic oppression of killing the Black man, incarcerating the Black man. They're taking away the Black man because the Black man is the head of the household for the Black family. We cannot let that happen. There's a reason why they let so many people out from them drug charges, but you still got your uncles that's been locked up over an ounce who still can't get no job. There's reasons behind that. So we have to stay out of that to educate the younger ones so that we are not protesting anymore. I'm done protesting. Actions need to happen. And when actions start happening, that's when more results will happen. One person going down for this is not good enough. They need all four of those guys arrested and all that for life. Because if he was a black man, if it was a black cop, come on now. Come on, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's the mic drop right there.
Exactly.
I ain't nothing to say about that.
So, I get. How about you want? Go ahead, Sharp.
I was just gonna say, I know going forward, I know one of my things when this happened was, of course, we're a sports podcast, right? But we're all black, you know. So I was thinking, like, we need to continue this conversation. So at least one episode a month or something along those lines. I was just, we all, you know, brainstorm and think of some ideas, but we need to bring some type of awareness on at least one episode per month. You know, just continue this conversation. Because one thing that did bother me was when this happened again, my first thought was like, all right, how long, you know, we're going to protest all this stuff. It's going to blow over again. And nothing's going to happen again till when it happens again. And it's just going to be keep recurring, you know, over and over again. So I'm hoping this time, finally, I know I want to start to hear what we do. You know, we continue the conversation, but I hope, you know, it just happens overall in its whole entity, in the whole world.
Mm-hmm. To kind of take it back to sports, it was good to see a lot of athletes out there. Like I know Jaylen Brown drove from, I think, Boston to Atlanta to go out there and protest. You know, Karl Anthony Towns was out there with Steven Jackson. So it was good to see, you know, the athletes, the black athlete out there to represent for the community. But like Shitty says, it's time for action now.
You had to.
Like, it's time for them white athletes to come out too.
Oh, yeah. What are you? Coaches too.
My boy Carson spoke out.
Nick Saban.
Now, one thing, like, before,
Dabo said something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess before we move on, just briefly, if it's something that, you know, you feel like something that we could, I guess, ask people to do or, you know, have done within like a specific group of people, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had a message for the black people, what is something we can do, you know, besides just, of course, keep the message going, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, for me, it'll be, you know, for white people just to continue to send love, you know what I'm saying? One thing that's touched me is like, you know, just some of my white friends just texting and, you know, sharing, hey, I love you. And, you know, something simple like that can go a long way. So just for, I guess, the white, you know, the white audience that's listening, you know, just text a black friend, just tell them you love them, you know what I'm saying? That can be it, but it'll go a long way. So if y'all had anything like that, y'all can send, you know, if it's anything.
I think for me, what I always think about is back to education. I would challenge white people to don't stop loving black people when they leave elementary school. Like it's all cute when they're 5, 6, 7 years old, but
Very influential.
But terrified when they're 15, you know, and got tattoos and are out in the streets. So like basically keep that same energy when these black kids get into high school and college, you know, show the same level of, you know, emotional attachment that we do when they're cute 5, 6 years old. That's what I would say.
No, they fear us once we hit 6 foot, 200 pounds. It's over. once you bigger than them, we're a threat.
They love us when our name is like LeBron James. They love us when our name is like somebody to the magnitude. But let it be Marcus Savage, let it be Skylar Clayton. It's just some random dude. Oh, I could care less about him because he's not LeBron James. Like don't just love a black person because what he does for you. Like love a black person because who he is. Like love all black people the same, regardless of what they do, what they're doing for you or not. That's my big thing.
I just want them to stop acting like we're after them for whatever reason. Honestly, we're not out to hurt you. Every time you pull us over, you pulled us over. Honestly,
We just want the same rights that you have.
Exactly.
I don't want to be afraid when I get
pulled over. We just want the same
over.
rights that you have.
I don't want to be afraid when I get pulled over. If I was speeding, I'm speeding. Fine.
Yeah.
If I skipped this,
Yeah.
if I did a moving stop
What you
sign,
doing?
cool. But I don't want to pull over and I got to worry about what's going to happen to me, or is somebody watching me, or somebody near. Like I said, we shouldn't have to have rules about getting pulled over by police.
Yep.
So we have nowhere to call once they pull us over and they do something wrong. Who do you call? If you're supposed to protect us, who are we supposed to call? Like, legit, who you gonna call? Other than you telling your friends, your family, and your folks, who you supposed to call for protection?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the A-Team.
There you go.
The Expendables. I don't know.
Good night.
I just discussed with CD a blog idea. I think it'll be nice with you. I think Savage mentioned it. Probably all of us have been in a situation where racism, right? So I'm thinking just a blog idea. We just kind of just let it out. Situation we've been in, just give our thoughts and everything. Just make a whole blog on it. I will come up with details later and release it out.
Cool.
So, y'all ready to talk about sports?
Shark, before we do,
Just real about the sports now.
Hey, Sharp, but before we do, bro, like, I just kind of want us to give like a 10-second moment of silence for just everybody that we've lost, to police brutality, if we could.
Okay.
Good.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, let's get it. So, first topic up, Memphis Tigers. We've been meaning to talk about Tiger news for the last couple weeks, but kept getting pushed back. I almost got pushed back again. But this week, we pushed back again. This man might make his decision. That you see on the screen, Moussa Cisse, one of the top centers. I want to say he reclassified, so I don't know what number he was, but yeah, he's going to be a lottery pick in this year's draft. So,
Okay.
Transferred to Lausanne to play here in Memphis, right? And so he reclassified, and on the final list, Memphis is on there, along with LSU, Florida State, who always get these big men for some reason.
They a little block, like 6'7", like one.
They get
the Isaac.
7'2" wingspan. So,
Georgia, of course, our arch rival Kentucky, John Calipari, and Georgetown. So apparently he's not in Memphis. He's back home in Brooklyn or New York, where he transferred from, working out there. So we have to see. Also, a bit of other news, but we're just going to stay on Moussa Cisse. Kennedy Chandler, number
He
one point guard.
reclassified too.
Yeah. Now he reclassified. He transferred to but that prep school in Kansas. I forgot the name of it. I can't think of it.
Sunrise Christian.
Sunrise, yeah. So that I think he was already leaning. I don't know. A lot of people think he was going to do anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next year with that. But Moussa Cisse, what? How y'all feel? I've been hearing reports that it don't seem like he's coming. But did they come LSU of all places who just in as more trouble as us? So what y'all think?
I think he going pro. Like,
Yeah.
I was literally gonna say that.
I think
Anytime
he
somebody
going pro.
reclassified,
Yeah.
Nobody.
He going pro. I mean, I feel if he does go to college, I feel like for some reason he going to Kentucky. I just feel that. I don't know why. But I think he's going pro. He probably, when he left, because like he came down to Memphis for a reason initially, in my opinion, with Penny Hardaway. I think he wanted to go to Memphis. And now he's reclassified, going back to, like you said, Brooklyn, New York. That to me is just like, why would you leave New York, go to Memphis, and go back to New York to come back to Memphis? I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So I think he's going the pro route, more likely through the G League option, to get paid $500K and get his free education down the road. Because I mean, was he the guy that averaged like 9 blocks a game, something crazy like that?
yeah.
That boy going pro. That's an NBA body. He will serve no purpose being in college. That guy need to go pro right now.
I agree with that for sure. I think we're gonna have a Jalen Green situation with that.
Yes,
If I
sir.
would have went to college, it would have been Memphis.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go get this 500,000 for the G League.
I mean, if we being real, NCAA finna lose a lot of people like that.
Yes, sir.
Since
I'm here
it's
for
not a
it.
restriction anymore.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. For me, I think Savages and Savage and Tukes, I think their opinion is a pretty valid one. I think the G League and the NBA is about to start calling real soon because I think he makes his decision this week. Yeah. So if they hadn't reached out to him by now, then there probably will be. So I'm pretty sure that's a valid option. I don't really believe too much hype into the LSU. I'm not sure why. I still think at the end of the day, for him to have transferred in high school from somewhere in the New York area to come to Memphis at the end of the day, I think says a lot. I think also I've read that he was really close friends with Precious, who's also from that particular area too as well. So I think if I had a list of where he would go, I would think I would go G League 1, Memphis 2. Just again, I think he's developed a good rapport with the Memphis coaching staff, whether that be Penny, Mike Miller, that whole entire crew. I think also Precious as well too, and then also with the current people that's on the roster now too. So I would go G League 1, then Memphis 2. I would really like for him to be in Memphis because that's the one position that right now I think is a weakness for us, is just having that one big at the end of the day to be able to plug away now that Precious is gone. Yeah, and then of course we never got T. James Wiseman. But to have a prospect like that in your own backyard, somebody you can go down the street to go see at FedEx Forum would be really good. And of course, to have him go along with the team that's projected to be on the roster next year too. So we'd definitely like to see him in Memphis.
I would G League Memphis too, but I also want to throw Georgetown possibly in there at number 3, just for the fact that he's from New York and just the idea. I know Georgetown's in DC, but just the idea of playing close to home and with Georgetown's quote unquote basketball tradition and playing under Patrick Ewing, he could get a little bit, not a whole lot, but just a little bit more exposure than maybe the G League would if the G League doesn't offer him anything, because he's going to be playing in that region. He's going to have a few games at MSG, so he's going to get some kind of exposure. So I would echo the sentiments about the G League and possibly going to Memphis, but I wouldn't sleep on Georgetown as a third option as well.
Yeah, you can't coach, man.
I was about to say that's my thing.
Don't slander a group to go to Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Georgetown ain't looking too good.
Georgetown ain't 83 back.
Whatever happened? I know it's off topic, but whatever happened to Matt McClung?
Texas Tech.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't never give white shooters in Memphis. To be honest,
we got Drew Barham, man.
Hey,
we don't give
Drew Barham coaching right now. I know him, Drew.
You gotta have somebody to replace Tyler.
But I think don't sleep on Florida State. All these big men they always getting. I can see that just as easily. Put it this way, I think he make the decision this week, right? I think he signed it with somebody this week. I'm just gonna say Florida State. But then when August rolls around, G League gonna hear some rumblings about the G League contract, and he's basically gonna sign, then go to G League. It's not gonna be it's not Jalen Green, but he's gonna say I'm going to G League. Now he gonna sign somewhere, and then like 2 months later, okay, never mind, gonna go take myself to the G League.
So it'll be like a verbal commit, then when it's time to sign the papers, he's gonna sign to G League.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with it, man.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this enough. 4- and 5-star athletes coming out of high school, your route to get to the league is now going to become more the G League because you're going to get paid to do it. They're going to give you money to go back and get your education, and you have quote unquote NBA talent around you and surrounding you. And so I believe his first option is the G League. Trevor, I like your second pick with Georgetown though. I put them a little bit higher just because of distance, I would say. You can catch a train really quickly from DC to New York and be fine. I think what hurts him coming to Memphis is Precious. If Precious was still here, I believe he actually does commit here without a question. But because he's not, I don't see him coming to Memphis. Unfortunately, you know, I'm really a big advocate for Memphis recruits, but the NCAA is still holding back whatever the decision may be about the Tigers. Still, and LSU.
Tigers, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even mention LSU. Forget about them. But
Hey. The
Oh,
disrespect.
yeah.
The disrespect will not be tolerated.
The Wizards. All right. I looked at those marks up there the other day.
Look. Right there. Disrespect will not be tolerated.
Okay. But yeah, G League for first pick, and I think I like the Georgetown or the Florida State. I just don't see it for Memphis, unfortunately, this time. I don't either. I'm sorry.
Like I said, NCAA gonna lose quite a amount of kids to G League and being able to get around going to college now.
Definitely. Yeah. So we get an NBA. Let's go next. NBA, July 31st.
The best day ever, baby.
Oh,
The best day ever.
It's happening.
Will it be the best day ever, or are we
Yes,
gonna
it
be
will.
excited
That's
that
28.
nobody's in the stands and we're just hearing the ball bounce and shoes?
It don't matter.
We don't
It doesn't matter.
Go.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
matter.
Somebody better hook up their phone up to an Oscord or something and just have like my voice going. But I'll be screaming for everybody.
They can
I'll be
have
screaming for everybody.
Like, I don't care. As long as we get some live sport.
Y'all better hope
Nah,
they give it to us uncensored. Have all the trash talk.
Mike, yeah, the mic's on.
Mike Will.
Man, that's gonna make it live. That's what they don't understand.
Right. But the NBA is looking at 4 different options, right? Either go directly to the playoffs with 16 teams, option number 1. Option number 2, group stage with 20 teams. And the way that works is it'll be 5 different groups, right? 5 different groups. No, 4 different groups with 5 teams in each group.
Like FIFA.
Yeah, break it down into tiers. Yes,
Like
which is a disadvantage to the top teams, honestly.
I was just about to say this is an AAU bracket, ain't
Right.
it?
Oh, man.
I think after that, it's like the top 2 teams each tier gonna make it to the
Yeah,
final
this is
playoff
AAU.
record. Yeah.
This is definitely AAU bracket. We keep going.
Yep. Option 3, they're gonna play a couple of games for seeding purposes, then have a play-in tournament with 22 teams, with teams within 6 games of the playoffs.
Nah.
No.
And the
No.
last option,
Okay.
72 games. Everybody gets through 72 games, which everybody's around 63 to 65-ish in their range right now. Get to 72, then guess what? Play-in tournament. I don't think it's coming down.
No.
So my only problem with everything besides number 1 is you're starting the league super late. It's July 31st already. Mind you, we normally start the NBA again back in October. So imagine how long playoffs already gonna go, and then we're giving the players a month off. Like, I get that they've been off now, for 2 months now, but where's the break-in period, I guess you can say?
Well,
because
next
if you
season-
start that late, you're definitely gonna be finishing September, late
That's fine.
September.
They should do that anyway.
They're pushing back next season. It's already set in stone. Probably
What is it,
Christmas.
December?
Yeah.
Looking like it's Christmas.
Yep, Christmas. And hopefully that may become the norm, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's a high school schedule. Keep going.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is I think they're going to do some version of a play-in game or some version of a play-in format where they're going to invite the likes of the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, whoever else, the Spurs, because at the end of the day, I think they don't want the Grizzlies to be in it because I think they don't think it's going to draw a big enough crowd. And I think at the end of the day, they really want Zion to be in there. So I think that's what they're going to be. That's what they're going to try to do. Actually, I think that's what they're going to do. But I think at the end of the day, now that it's kind of settled me, that's what they're going to do. I'm actually for that just because I want to see the Grizzlies knock off the Trailblazers. I want them to knock off the Pelicans. And so then at that point, there's nothing else that needs to be said other than John Morant and the Grizzlies beat whoever they needed to be in the playoffs. That's all that I want to do. That's all I wanted to do.
Man, well,
They gonna do
all
this.
of us in this home.
I got
So
two
just bring all
things.
the smoke. So we're gonna beat everybody.
That's That's what
go ahead, sir.
healthy.
Exactly. So let's go.
I got two things. Like all this talking that Lillard is doing. Like I hope bro knows Ja and Jaren and Brandon Clark be like, oh okay. Like I'm sure if you ask Ja, Jaren, and BC, do y'all want to play Trailblazers? They would say yes. They would
Absolutely.
y'all ass on right now. That's what they would say. So I don't know why people would think it's sweet in Memphis. I don't know why. But I think that the best option would be the group play, the FIFA format. Because right now it'll be 20 teams, you said, Sharky, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would include the 8 that's in the West and the East. And then the final 2 will be Portland and New Orleans. Perfect. You get Damian Lillard, you get Zion, and then they can
Actually it'll be the 4.
It'll be Spurs and Kings too.
Yeah. So it'll be 10 per conference, or
no, it'll be the top
it'll
16 plus the next 4 best records.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it'll be 16, and then the top 4 overall, West and East.
Yeah, which is the West. Yeah.
That's even better. I feel like that'd be an interesting thing because you would have different fan bases tied to a specific group, kind of like FIFA, where everybody's like, oh, Group A is the group of death. You know, it's USA, it's Spain, it's Brazil, all in one. You might get Lakers and who else? Toronto or something, all in the same group.
We don't want to send the Lakers home too early.
I'm just like you might get a tough group that got like a lot of good teams in it. And I would watch those games. I want to see, Milwaukee play, Philly or whatever, however it shapes out. But I think that's a fair enough competitive balance. I think they probably would do like you play each team twice.
Yeah.
And whoever got the top 2 records will be like, who the better team after like 2-3 games. Like you're like, yeah, this team is just overall better,
Yeah.
But I actually think that's the better idea. Will they do it? I doubt it. They'll probably do a play-in tournament because people like tournaments. But I think that'll be the best way to get who's better between the two, and not like a one-off like March Madness style. Like I don't like the one-off game. I like to have like a quick series or something, like 3 to 5 games.
Yeah. Only thing I like about that is it completely eliminates the 65 games that they already played.
Yeah.
Essentially. So like the top seeds like Milwaukee, like what if the first game Chris Middleton gets hurt? Like, just like that, it's like they're like their season. It's kinda like messed up in that sense. But overall that'd be the best, like just watchability, yeah, that'd be the best one. But it's like it just completely eliminates the first 65 games that they play. Like
I think at this point though, like I don't think any competitive advantage matters right now because there's no home court advantage. I mean, if a player gets hurt, player gets hurt. Even if Milton gets hurt, I feel like Giannis is still Giannis. Like he still should be able to win. Against like Orlando or something. You know what I'm saying?
That Florida team, okay.
I ain't saying Miami. Miami would be a problem for him, but I feel like at this point there is no advantage in any way. So.
Yeah. I hear you. I think. God, I hate for this season to have an asterisk by it.
Yeah.
No matter how we draw this up. I think you still have to give credit to what has happened over the season, and give them the seeding. Because we're still going to give out the Rookie of the Year award, still going to give out MVP and those type of awards. So why not reward those that have done well this season? That's why I don't really like what that name is saying right now. Because if you haven't been saying this the past years when you actually were in the playoffs. 2, it's just a big cry for help for him. Listen, if you want to get out of Portland, just say so. Because you need to be gone anyway. But he does.
they made us top first last year.
My point.
They got the same
record. Yeah. And so, like, I don't like that because I feel like he's kind of like turned the page. Like, oh, yeah, you should allow these other teams. No, the season stopped when it stopped, and you have to allow that to happen. The Grizzlies earned their spot. The Magic, whoever else earned their spot to where they're at. Now, I guess I think the play-in should be if it's like 9 through 12 or 9 through 11. 9 through 12 can play each other real quick and then play the Grizzlies and see. But I think the Grizzlies have also earned the 8th spot, so I don't think they need to be doing anything else. I can see if they were tied.
I got one. Hey, I got one.
2 games back. Go ahead.
I saw somebody comment. They said basically they should have like a play-in between 9 and 12. They have like 3-game series as well. And whoever wins then goes against the Grizzlies. Since the Grizzlies have a 3.5 game lead, they should have to beat the Grizzlies 3 times.
Fair is fair.
The Grizzlies only got to beat them 1 time.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
I know they're gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what happened. That thing kicked me out.
You back? Get your fingernails together.
No, I just got the lighter. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But no.
Can you pause? You just came back. But I did. This season is Ja Morant's season to be Rookie of the Year and to make it to the playoffs. Do not take that away from Memphis.
Yeah.
I really wish somebody would come back, and be healthy to play, over the summer, but I won't name names of people.
I
There's
will.
some Brooklyn people. There's some Washington people.
I will, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I'm
here for it.
150 points a game.
I'm
I
here
want to see the
for
Wizards.
6 games.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
And no John Wall's 110%.
Hey, John Wall too. John Wall
Had
too.
10 turnovers.
Wow.
But like I was saying, like I think like Chris Paul said, it should be like a couple weeks for players to do, to get their bodies right. And I think that's a pretty good idea. So I think the NBA could format like a 5-game, every team just play for 5 games. Everybody can stretch a little bit and just get ready for what's about to happen now. And I think if the NBA marketed that the right way, it can be a success because everybody wants to see everybody play anyway. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to load management or not, just give everybody a chance to warm up. And if they don't choose to warm up and they rusty in the playoffs, it's their fault. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, like I said, I think everybody could, 5 exhibition games, if y'all want to make it to the point where you get in the top 20, that's in the FIFA style, like go for it. But, it could shake up. 5 games could possibly shake some things up. Or it can shake up, the 1 through 20 or the 1 through 16. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'll be even more exciting.
To play for it. They gonna play just for the sake of playing? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, just like some kind of exhibition games, because I think everybody wants to see everybody play regardless of what happens. And I think like for the next 2-3 weeks of the NBA just preparing for the quote unquote playoffs, I think that'll be great marketing within the NBA. You get to still wait and see what happens in the future because of the quote unquote coronavirus ain't nobody talked about yet, in a minute. You know what I'm saying? Will it be safe to have a Grizzlies, game, or would everybody have to be in Orlando? I think you also give it time. So while we're waiting, go ahead and have 5, 6, 7 games, in Orlando, give the fans what we want and then start the playoffs. And by then we should have a definitive answer of what we're gonna do at least for the rest of the summer,
Agree.
I can see that. I'm still the proponent of starting the playoffs like just straight up as it is.
But just think of the excuse. Just think of the excuses though. Like you still got to warm up, and I think everybody warming up would be better than just throwing us in. You know what I'm saying?
Workouts have been started for at least majority of the teams already. Now they can't have more than X amount of people, but workouts have started. So how much more time you gonna need? You're gonna have the entire month of June.
Working out with your homies is different.
I guess the difference is 5-on-5 conditioning is different from conditioning.
From regular, if it matter, it matter.
Hey man, as long as I can play 21. And we
No, I'm still a proponent of starting the playoff straight up. The FIFA group.
You so impatient.
No, I know. It's not even me being impatient. It's just like 3/4 through the season, and plus time, and it's like it's all this to me is just a setup to try to get the Grizzlies out from actually contending for.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's not all about Memphis. It may be 98%, but that other 2%.
It's about Zion.
You don't
be real. It ain't
the other
about
2 is
Dame.
Zion.
It's about Zion. They don't care about Dame and Portland. They care about Zion.
If you want to see Zion, so bad, too bad. If you want to watch Damian Lillard shoot 40% or less for the entire playoffs, go right ahead. But the Grizzlies are everything.
Hey, whoa. Shots fired. All right, shots fired.
Hold
You
on,
come
you're not
down
gonna
here
disrespect
and knock
Dame
us for
like
50
that.
a game, we're going to have a problem.
Sound a little salty
look
from
up
the
Dame play this play.
Trailblazers and Thunder. Thunder series.
No, Game recognized, but Dame Lillard shoots 40% career in the playoffs. Go check it. 40% from the field.
Yeah, because he's shooting more.
I mean, that to be honest, 40% ain't really that bad when you're
Ain't bad
taking
at
30
all.
taking 30 shots a game. Really, it's not.
Oh Lord.
Hey,
As long as you hit the one that matters and able to wave at everybody as you hit. That's all that matters.
All I'm saying is don't take away what the Grizzlies rightfully earned.
Straight up.
Trevor,
We all agree.
I've heard the idea, but you won't. I've heard the idea of like bringing all 16 teams and have them play like 5 games, but have them play against the opposite conference. So just warm up for the playoffs, like exhibition games.
Okay.
I was going to say, somebody for to have an easy 5 games.
Right, I'm like, playing the Bulls. I'm like,
No, it's the playoff team. So it's like the Grizzlies play against the Bucks, Magic, and Heat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
like
just about to say, somebody about to have a nice schedule.
So I definitely end by saying this, man. My birthday's July 31st too, so they gave y'all plenty of time to buy me a bottle, and I'm hoping I'm watching the NBA game. So, yeah.
You'll be watching one more than likely.
Yeah.
Who gonna buy that? Who gonna buy that bottle? Who gonna buy that bottle though?
I got a bottle of water for you.
Water.
Huh? It don't matter.
Is it water?
Crown
Agua?
apple or the Sunny? It
Agua.
don't matter.
Agua.
Sunny or Crown apple? It don't matter.
Why you want mud water?
Right.
That's all. Why you want mud water?
I ain't finna trash the Sunny, bro. The Sunny been good to me.
Why you want mud water, bro? I don't understand.
All right.
Okay.
For the next one, guess we'll talk about in the future too. Just to dive into baseball a little bit, they trying to come up with their plan too, starting 114 game season or something.
Yeah, they start. I don't think baseball is
problem.
It's kind of such.
Hey, they actually social distance in the game anyway. They straight. They straight.
Yeah, I don't think baseball
straight.
season is going to happen. I really don't think baseball season is going to happen because the players will have to, because baseball players make a lot of money. And you're talking about they're trying to shorten their season already, and you're talking about some of them might not even get a third of their contract. I don't see the players. I don't see the players agreeing to that one. I really don't think baseball is going to happen.
We had that top for sure. And I think they just released theirs today, so I get enough time to get it. But let's get to this next one. Shout out to Ashton for this one. Top 3 underrated players. But y'all go as far back y'all want to go.
This is personal opinion, correct? Not like.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
I went back. But bring facts though. You know. Bring facts.
Just making sure.
Who want to start off?
Hey, Ash should go first. Ash brought the topic up.
Hey.
It's going to be John Wall.
Dylan.
We're doing overrated next week, so John Wall.
Hey, not even gonna lie. As long as you know Derrick Rose on that list, cuz.
Oh, nah, bro. He didn't win MVP. Derrick Rose did win MVP.
Derrick Rose overrated?
Derrick Rose definitely got an MVP. Exactly.
He's still on that list. But
a couple
anyway,
All-Star games.
Okay,
anyway.
We'll get to that when we.
All right. So top 3 underrated. Me personally, I kind of started from I didn't go no further than the 90s. I'm not gonna go back to Magic and stuff like that. For the simple fact, we weren't alive at that point. So I'm not gonna go back and try to say, well, that person was great. But number 1, I kind of hated him back then when they made their little run. Is Chauncey Billups. And I say Chauncey Billups because we didn't get to see early Chauncey Billups, really. We get to see late Chauncey Billups toward the end of his career. Well, I'm not even going to say end of his career, the end of his prime. Yeah, we got to see him in his prime. So we didn't get to see him develop, but we didn't hear about them until we'll call them the big four. Because at that time,
to be honest, that whole start 5 was solid.
What you had? Chauncey, Ben, Tayshaun. I forgot about Rip.
My brother had Darko Milicic, bro.
Stop it. Next.
Hey, go on log off for me.
Anyway, dog.
Go ahead, log off for me, bro. Go ahead, log out, bro. But no, Chauncey Billups, like I said, we didn't get to see him. He was kind of overshadowed a little bit due to the whole team being 5 of them. Number 2, Grant Hill.
That's
and I say Grant Hill because he was injury prone. He was injury prone like a mug. So for people that were saying like he was one of the great players in the 90s, which he was, but he had injury problems. And the last one, I guarantee y'all ain't see this one coming. And I say this because he shot 50% from the field and 40% from beyond the arc. Huh?
You about to take one of mine? Go ahead.
That's cool.
Like I said, 50% on the field, 40% beyond the arc, 88% at the free throw line.
Dirt.
And he gets overshadowed by 2 of his other former players. And this is doing the Jordan era. So this is not Dirt.
Okay, not Dirt. Okay.
So my third and final one is Jeff Hornacek.
Oh, okay. You can take mine. Okay. You take mine.
Okay. I ain't know.
He's a rubbish face free throw line and all this stuff.
Hey, that's definitely hard to do. So that's a good one.
Who was it?
That's solid.
Did you write that down?
Chauncey Billups, Jeff Hornacek, and
Oh, who was it too?
Grant Hill.
Grant.
Yeah.
Grant.
All right. Let me go ahead and knock out mine right quick. So y'all probably look great. But when I first started watching basketball, he became one of my favorite players, and he started getting hurt. Antonio Dice.
Oh. Yeah.
That's a bucket getter right there, man.
He started getting hurt. Like, he was literally like one of my favorite players when I started watching. Like, yeah.
Hey, yo, Sharky, even when he got older, I remember him playing, I think, with the Spurs, and he came to play the Grizzlies. Man, that mid-range jumper is money. Money.
Then my second one, he was one of my favorite players when I started watching too. Tim Hardaway.
Okay.
Yes. He had to work. I watched them in Miami Heat in that New York Knicks series.
Underrated in what sort though?
Huh?
Underrated how though? How was he underrated in your opinion?
Because just think about when you think about the top point guards in the league.
People don't think about Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, he wasn't really mentioned even at that time period.
He was one of the masters of the crossover.
Yeah, you think about the crossover.
Nobody
says anything on Tim Hardaway. And he essentially started it.
Right on. No, I was just asking.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you.
And my last one, y'all gonna really just look at me. Y'all probably really gonna look at me shot crazy. But I looked at his stats early in his career, and bro's putting up numbers. Ron Harper.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Ron was legit. Yeah.
I'm looking at this stats before he got to Chicago. Like, he really went to Chicago to become a role player.
Role player, yeah.
Literally. I mean, bro averaged dropped from 20 points a game the year before he joined Chicago to 6.9.
Ooh, talk about a sacrifice, man.
MJ's first retirement. MJ wasn't even there.
You want these championships or not?
Right. But this is when MJ was retired though. His first year.
I know. Yeah.
That still shocked me. But bro was consistently averaging 20 points a game throughout his career. Now he had injuries.
Like they said, they were sharing the ball more with MJ not being there.
Yeah, so. With the triangle. Mm-hmm. But still, that's a big drop from 20 to 6. So he literally just became like a defensive specialist and just, ball handler.
I can go hurry up. I guess I'll go next. So in honor of my fellow left-handed people, I have an all left-handed list.
Oh. This sounds like Derek Fisher.
Let me go. So first, this is one of my favorite players growing up. And, he's big time on ESPN now, but Jalen Rose. To this day, it kind of baffles me that he was not an all-star at any point in his career. Because when he got to Indiana and when he was with Reggie, he was putting up 20 a game for at least 4 years in a row. I'm looking at 20.5, 18.5, 23.8, 22.1. Like, he was putting up buckets for a quick second. And he didn't make an all-star team, not even one, which is crazy to me. But yeah, Jalen Rose to go from being a point guard at Michigan, Fab Five, and then had like a slow start to his career before going to Indiana. Pretty good player. Second, another favorite player of mine, Lamar Odom. Forget about Y'all ain't no LO, man. I ain't no LO.
No, come on now.
Yeah, I already knew this list.
Now LO is kind of like Ron Harper, just like 4 inches taller. You know, it's like 6'9", 6'10", type of point guard or point forward, I should say. When he came to LA, like Kobe was able to like unlock him as a sixth man. And when it was a lineup of what was it, Kobe and Powell and LO and Bynum or whoever, Fisher, like that lineup was so tall you couldn't deal with it. It was kind of like the Bulls when they had Harper running point. The lineup's so tall you can't really just do anything on offense.
Multiple ball handlers too.
Yeah, most ball handlers because Powell had a handle, Kobe had a handle, LO had a handle. So yeah, Lamar Odom. And last but not least, she do like this, Chris Bosh. I feel like people,
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that one too. I like it too.
people forget that Chris Bosh.
I like it too.
People forget Chris Bosh put up 24 points a game in Toronto. Like at one point he was in a discussion for MVP for a hot second in a season before he went to Miami to be the third option. And even when he was there in Miami, people were like saying like Bosh trash, trade Bosh. I'm like no, because when LeBron left, Bosh put up like 21 points a game. You know what I'm saying? So. And it's kind of unfortunate with him and his, I think he had blood clots or something like that. Yeah, that kind of halted his career. But he could have, I know he could have been playing now as a small ball 5, because his game literally evolved when he went to Miami. He couldn't shoot 3 like that in Toronto, but then he became, a nice pick and pop, 4 or 5. So Chris Bosh, Jalen Rose, Lamar Odom, all leftists. Shout out to South Paul.
Man, I said that one.
And before the next person go, that speaking back to Chris Bosh, Miami's first championship in that Big 3 era, y'all forget, like, Chris Bosh was hurt in that playoff run. Then he came, when they fell down 3-2, when LeBron had that game at the Garden, Chris Bosh also came back from injury. And I think game 7, he had like 3 clutch threes in the fourth quarter. Like,
so did.
Like people forget now. Right. I think Chris Bosh doesn't come back, Miami doesn't beat Boston in that series.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect Chris Bosh on this man's list, but keep going.
That's a good one. All right. So I'll go ahead and go. The first one I already mentioned, Grant Hill, just a whole what if story, you know what I'm saying? You got the All-Stars, the NBA's Rookie of the Year, college Hall of Famer, you know what I'm saying? College won championships in college, like got it all. So I guess he'll be like a 1A. He'd be like a 1A. The So Into You with Fabulous still one of my favorite ones. Number 2 would be Pau Gasol.
Okay.
Honestly, and I think that because he's from Memphis, we expect a player to play such a way, a hard blue collar city. We expect you to play a certain way. But he did put up numbers, and he did win Rookie of the Year his season. And when he got to LA, and like you mentioned, Savage, with that LA team with Bynum and Odom and Fisher, they would not have won that championship without Pau Gasol. He was steady, consistent, 17, 18, 20, and 10 some seasons. Let me see. He was a 4-time All-NBA team, second, 3 on third. I'm like, 1, 2 championships in LA, Rookie of the Year, you know what I'm saying? Then overseas, like he may be the greatest Spaniard player that we have in the league, probably possibly ever. And it's a debate going on whether or not LA should retire his jersey, and I think so.
Oh, they will.
Because of the champion, you bring the championships, but also give, honor to the culture and, the Spaniards that are in LA, which is a lot of them. So, shout out to Pau Gasol. My second would be Kevin Love. Pre-LeBron James. Pre-LeBron James. Pre-LeBron James, Kevin Love, 30 for 30, 20 for 20 is like, I think that he possibly could have been one of the last great big men that just was inside the paint. Like he was getting 20s pretty much daily, nightly with the Timberwolves. And I think that people underrate what that means, especially now with he just being a spot-up shooter. So hopefully he can get back, 15, 20 pounds and get to what he used to be. But we'll see about that. But Kevin Love IQ is crazy. I think he's definitely one of the more underrated players.
If he could play defense, he'd be a stretch 5.
He'd be one of the best. And I think
Yeah.
honestly, in this NBA with PJ Tucker playing center, you might as well put Kevin Love in center. No, let him get back to what he was doing best. Hey, he played with Russell Westbrook in college. You never know.
Yeah, don't get Houston no ideas.
So yeah, him, and then my last three will be Baron Davis. We in an era of the Steve Nashes, the Jason Kidds, and all them. B Diddy was it. You know what I'm saying? The leader of the We Believe Warriors, which is one of my favorite teams. Dude did it all. He was a scorer. He actually led the NBA in steals twice a year, so his defense is definitely underrated. But everything that you want in a point guard, like Baron Davis brought to the table. And he was underrated for the simple fact of he got traded from New Orleans to the Warriors for Speedy Claxton and Dale Davis.
Hey, we believe. I believe the Warriors.
So the We Believe Warriors don't happen if Speedy Claxton ain't traded. So
injuries messed him up.
You got to
too.
give it up to B Diddy. Injuries definitely messed him up. Definitely. But like I said, he can do it all, and he was definitely for the culture. So shout out to B Diddy.
I'll go next. My three are based off the type of players that I actually like in the NBA. So my number one is actually Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins is also known as the human highlight film. He was left off the Dream Team. The man averaged 25 points per game for 10 consecutive seasons. Averaged 32 times.
Yeah.
Never listed.
He averaged that much?
Huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly. You think of Nick as like as a dunker. You don't think about the buckets that he put up. He never listed on 50 greatest players of all time. So I think I was like, dang, like somebody put up buckets like that, and like to not be listed as one of the greats of all time says a lot. So Nick was one. A player that I thought Aston took, my two was Mark Price. Mark Price was
nice.
That's a cold white boy, man.
Yeah. Member of the 40-90 club, could shoot the ball. I've seen highlights of him. He was kind of the Steph Curry before Steph Curry. And then also
defense too, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he would have he'd have a bigger name if it wasn't for Jordan. He ran into Jordan several times in the 90s. And I think if it weren't for him, then he would probably have more of a bigger name. And then three is Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is
out of every player in the NBA.
He's on my top players of all time because he's really good. I think he's good offensively. He's really good defensively. But if you think about his value, you talk about all the time LeBron's value and how teams are after he leaves. Look at Jimmy Butler and the team. Look at the team. Look how bad they are after Jimmy Butler leaves. The
Sixers ain't good.
Bulls ain't recovered. The Timberwolves ain't recovered. The 76ers, they don't know what they doing. So Miami, y'all might want to keep him because if you don't keep him, you be looking kind of sad too. So I think Jimmy Butler's his value is not get talked about enough. So he's in my top three. And then honorable mention, I'm surprised nobody's mentioned him yet, is Mike Conley. There you go.
Okay.
Cool.
I can't believe you just sat up. I mean, I agree, but Sharky loving this song.
I'll go next. So first on my bill, he was already mentioned once before as one of the most underrated. That'll be Chauncey Billups. We definitely got a chance to see him in his prime during the Detroit years, even those shortstops in Denver as well. Quick fact about Chauncey Billups. Did you know that he is the only NBA player in history to have a winning record against Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James?
Okay.
Here it goes.
Damn, I wouldn't have thought the Jordan one.
Here it goes.
I wouldn't have thought the Jordan. Yeah.
But continuing on, another guy on this list that doesn't get that much talked about, much, only gets talked about in one aspect because he's part of this group, part of Run TMC, and that's Mitch Richmond. Like a guy, Jordan even came out and said gave him problems on the defensive end. Was one of those big guards, could get to the lane, really developed his jump shot in the later years when he left Golden State. And just he was still putting up buckets in Sacramento during those years, even going up against Mike. And the last one for me, and I just think more so of the influence that he left on the game for today's crowd, and that is Rod Strickland. You talk about a point guard. Yeah. You talk about a point guard who could somehow, some way just find his way into the lane to get buckets. And he had no left hand. Let's just start there. Looked up, he was always going right. If you look at Kyrie Irving today and a couple of these point guards, they wouldn't have the game that they have right now without watching Rod Strickland. So those are my three underrated players.
Like Rod Strickland growing up.
Yeah. So I tackled this one differently. Y'all have given out some great names, so I'm thinking like how I want to give out my list, but it doesn't even matter. The first person I want to name is a person who, and I'm thinking about just different realms, who doesn't get talked about enough when we talk about like top 5 NBA players of all times. So, you got your Magic, Michael and all that, but there's not, I don't believe there's enough respect shown towards Larry Bird.
I agree.
And I say that because, one, the man is the last person to win 3 straight MVPs in a league that had Magic, had Kareem, had Dr. J, had Dominique, had whoever you want to say from the 80s, and he still won MVP all 3 seasons. I remember seeing a stat. He was in the finals. It was game 5 against the Lakers. By the end of the third quarter, the man had 20 and 20. He had 20 points and 22 rebounds at that point. That was in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. Mind you, got all these back problems too.
Yep.
Larry Bird is not talked about enough. The man ended with 24 points, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds for his career.
That's crazy.
And he can shoot from anywhere. As well.
Can I ask something to you real quick?
Yeah.
He was on 3 all-defensive teams. Y'all, he could play today. like all that mess talking about like he couldn't play today. Yes, he can. Imagine Dirk with defense.
Right. So we got to give. You have to give. You have to give him Larry Bird his respect. Now, next one is one of my favorite players of all time, and he really brought the guns with him.
He finna be like Andrew Bynum. He finna say Andrew Bynum. We just know it.
My man Gilly, he averaged.
My boy.
GA. With the Wizards, he averaged 25 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds a game. That was with the.
He started to shoot and then turning around before the shot went in the basket.
That boy had rounds.
And didn't care. And so I always
game winning shot.
Yeah. And I really appreciate him because like I had to do a lot of battles as shooting guard, and I was like, man, I really like Gilly because Gilly's mentality was the hibachi. He didn't care. Not as good as defense, but let's not miss that anymore. Yeah. And my last one, because we talked about this before, I had to bring it back because I felt he was underappreciated. Was David Robinson. David Robinson, for his career, just pulled up the stats because we would need those, right? 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Hold this though, 3 blocks per game for his career.
For his career, yes. Oof.
In one season, in 91-92, he averaged 4.5 blocks. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He had 7 seasons where he averaged more than 3 blocks a game. Yeah, so don't, like I said last time, I believe that 98-99 team could have gave Jordan some fits with David Robinson being healthy and everything like that. So Larry Bird, Gilbert Arenas, David Robinson.
That's a good list, Sheedy.
That's a good one.
I got another honorable mention. Think about this. Lonzo Mourning.
Oh.
So
At least he got him a ring.
Yeah, mine did.
Thank God. I'm gonna say give him a ring.
Time for our L of the month for the month of May. So, due to the everything going on, the protesting and Black Lives Matter and everything, I've eliminated, and we talked about it before, the black NFL players, they all got arrested within that 48-hour period. I'm not going to mention them off again. A couple episodes ago. Don't even matter. But I eliminated them off. So, 23, Channing Frye. Makes comments about MJ. Basically saying his way of playing when working today's game. Because people won't like to play with him.
Okay.
He just scored. He just scored.
Wouldn't work in today's game yet. 99% of the game is imitated by MJ. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
He asked for the win.
Exactly. Next up, and he played defense, so right. All he can do is score. Yeah. Next, Damian Lillard, what's up, my guy? I bet you ain't gonna play no more. Y'all ain't got no chance to make the playoffs. Boy, if you don't
Look salty. Look salty.
You still gonna be with your team because it's your team. Play.
I mean, but in a way, he got a point.
He do.
He don't.
Just at the right time to say that, though.
You come back and play games that aren't meaningful, you know?
No.
That's why you put him in the. You know what? Keep going.
That's why you don't bring them there. You just
Play.
Yeah. Bring your top 16, and you gotta worry about it. But speaking of Damian Lillard, Dan Orlowski. For those is Zach Cummings. Damian Lillard, like, he went on the other side, said he felt he was entitled. It's pretty big terminology for him, to say the least. And he got a lot of backlash from Twitter and Damian Lillard himself on Twitter, which was pretty funny. So, hell of the money. Channing Frye, Dan Orlowski, or Damian Lillard. Although they kind of cross each other out. They cross each other.
I'm gonna say Channing Frye because
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Like Kawhi Leonard is literally like the remix of Michael Jordan right now. Like he don't pass the ball, he plays defense, he gets buckets. The only thing Kawhi Leonard don't do is just talk. That's all that. That's the only thing he don't do. That's the only thing he don't do. Like Kawhi is literally like 6'6", about 220. He's Jordan size. Like, what do you? And Paul George wanted to play with Kawhi.
Kawhi got all his hair, Jordan don't. You know, that's like
you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like just literally the polar opposite of Jordan with the same skills. So, Channing Frye for me is the elder Mike.
Yeah, I think we can agree.
Yeah, same for me. I didn't understand why he was trying to say that. I'm not sure if he just wanted like some more followers or he needed attention, but that wasn't the right time. If he's gonna do it before the documentary comes out. Do it 6 months after. But don't do it in the middle of the documentary when everybody is just like in awe of what Jordan did, and then just to make it seem like he's just a scorer. The man 6 up, 6 down. You see what I'm saying? Like if he was just a scorer, he wouldn't have 6 championships. Wouldn't have Defensive Player of the Year. Wouldn't have won a dunk contest. Like, come on, G. Like Channing Frye, it's okay. Like if you need attention, just tell somebody that. But don't go out of your way to say something when you're bored. Again, we don't like to entertain people when they're bored, and so we won't give him that much time of the day.
I'm so L, big large L. But
I don't know about. There's nothing to really for us to discuss. Yeah. Channing Frye, his cousin Richard Jefferson, as well. They can share that. For those that don't know, he said some craziness about LeBron and Carmelo.
Yeah.
And I looked at that lineup, and he was ridiculous. But anyways, back to his cousin. To think that Michael Jordan can't play in any era of basketball is extremely naive. And now I'm going to leave it right at that. Pizza, anybody?
Unanimous, right?
It's unanimous.
Like,
For reasons that's already been said. So
Small
keep
fry.
it moving.
Any objections? All right,
Well, I don't know if it was a plan.
cool. Right. L of the month for the month of May. Yes,
So can we just mail him the L or something? Like we just send it to his house?
Right.
You can do that?
Just get a big L and just
Right. I said give him a big L.
Yeah.
Give him a
And
big
it would
L
be,
and
that
a
would
small
be cool
fry.
to have like a space on the wall.
Yeah, L of the month. Slide just up. January 2020.
There you go.
Not a bad idea.
I honestly can't wait till next week when y'all come up with these overrated players.
Oh, you know, the first name coming out of my mouth. Jonathan, right now. Cobra Jonathan. Real talk.
And we really gonna have to call this segment "Overrated Players Besides John Wall" because I'm pretty sure you're gonna be on.
He only gets slandered because I didn't gave everybody a 50 piece up in here with John Wall. It's all good.
That me?
No,
Not me.
close out, Sharky.
That me?
I think we had enough, man. Good that time, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.